Hello and welcome back to Impulse Audio. If you've never been here, this is a channel about DIY speaker building. But today I'm doing something a little bit different than I usually do. I'm doing kind of a vlog type of thing. I'm not sure how to describe it yet. We'll see where it goes. I just want to get a few videos out there that are short and kind of offer advice rather than measurements and builds and elaborate things like that. Unfortunately, in the next while, this shop is going to be demolished because I have to make room for my growing family. So my house is going to be getting an addition. This wall right here is actually the exterior of my house. And so I'm going to take down the shop and then punch out that wall. And it's going to be a long process, and speaker measurements and things might be a little more difficult. I'm going to still try to do them. So anyways, today I want to talk about something that really benefits the DIY speaker builder. But if you're not into that and you're just into audio, I really think you can benefit from this as well. I've built a lot of speakers from scratch where you put your heart and soul into the thing and you take all your measurements and you work hard at a simulation and you wire it all together and then you set it up and you listen to it, and man, that's the best part of speaker building, is when you finally set it up and get to hear it. The problem I run into, and I know a lot of you guys run into this as well, is when you get to that point, that climax in the project, whatever you hear you think sounds good, unless it's really bad. But I mean, sometimes a mid isn't hooked up or something's wrong here, but often the results are subpar. But because we're at the climax of the project and we've poured our heart and soul into this thing, we think it sounds good when it actually doesn't. Or it sounds okay, but we think it sounds great. And this goes for the guy who also just spent a pile of money and brings home the new speaker and opens the packaging and it's shiny, or the new amplifier, and opens it up and is excited to put it into their system and get it playing. And when they do, they think, wow, this is just phenomenal. It's an easy trap to fall into. It's human nature and there's nothing wrong with it. And I myself have been a victim of this. I mean, who doesn't think their new creation sounds amazing? That's just natural. I call this the honeymoon effect. And on forums and things, I've instant messaged and PM'd and emailed people about their projects, and people have come to me for advice from time to time, and I've warned people of this honeymoon effect. And by honeymoon effect, I mean you go home with your new bride and you're excited to this new life and she's hot and everything. But then after, maybe in a marriage it takes years, in a speaker build, maybe it only takes weeks or maybe months, you start to realize, hey, something's missing here. Maybe when I first got married to this new design, I saw or heard all the new things that I thought I was missing out on, but now that I've spent some time with it, there's something missing here. And then the honeymoon phase kind of vanishes, and then you start to investigate. Maybe you measure again, or you have a friend listen to them or whatever, and you realize there's something not quite right here. So, where am I going with this? My advice to you is to be aware of the honeymoon effect. Whether you're buying a new component or you just assembled 30 different crossover parts and 4 different drivers to make the most complex speaker you've ever built, be aware that it's easy to think you have something great until you've spent some serious quality time with it. Spend some time with it, hear it out and find where the flaws are and improve on those things. Every speaker design should be improved from the date when it first finally comes to life. I think we all know that, but it's easy in that first week to not totally be aware of it. If you want to kind of see an example of me going through this, on my Dayton Audio surround build thing, you can go back and see some videos where I actually did blind comparisons of music samples and things like that as I was toying with the crossover idea. In that case, in that speaker, I had too many parts that, because I was trying to keep it cheap, it didn't make sense to have that many parts. So I was actually trying to find ways to cut parts out. And in the end, in that speaker build, I didn't make any claims that it was some kind of amazing speaker. The reality is, even though I put a lot of hard work into that, if I'm completely honest with myself, yeah, it's better than a $100 Best Buy speaker, a lot better, thankfully. But if you're completely honest with yourself, your creations are not always superb or, you know, amazing or whatever other kind of adjective you can think of. Sometimes if we're honest with ourselves, they're just another speaker that sounds great and works and gives us what we need. And that's exactly what I got out of my Dayton speaker. I got a surround speaker that looks great, and I can now mount it on in the corners or walls or whatever of my theater and get practical use out of it. So anyways, guys, that's my advice today, the honeymoon effect, and I hope it is helpful. I'm sure most of you are nodding your head, you're aware of this, you know, maybe you've done it yourselves before. Maybe you're in the middle of your very first build and you're just about to hook it up and you're going, wow, I didn't think of that, and maybe you'll be a little more cautious when you first hook it up. Enjoy that moment of elation. I mean, it's amazing when you first hook up a pair of speakers that you've worked so hard on. Enjoy it, fall in love with them, have the honeymoon. Just be aware of what can happen in the future. If you like this idea, please let me know by hitting the thumbs up down below, hit subscribe, put a comment down and ask a question about this if you like, or just put a comment letting me know you think this is a great idea, and I'll try to hit you up with some more of these vlog type of things and little pieces of advice or whatever. And I'd also like to do a live stream one of these days. I'm not sure technologically how to hook it up, but I'd like to give that a shot because a lot of you have questions and they're not easily answered in the comments section. Some of you get me by email, ryan@impulseaudio.ca if you want to email me. But even then, you know, for me to type up a big email to describe something is a little difficult. So I figure if we do a live stream, maybe you can message me your questions in the stream and I can describe them just like I'm doing now. I can take a minute to kind of say, oh, do this, that, and the other thing, and hopefully answer your questions. Alright guys, thank you very much. We'll catch you on the next video. Talk to you later. Bye.